702.
Change your mindset.
Indeed, 12 minutes after 10 o'clock, Stanley Beckett joins me now. Stanley, good evening to you and thank you so much for joining us. What a subject. The issue of faith, whether we've lost it or not. Very, very important subject. Why did you choose this particular subject? Hello, Stanley.
Good evening, Aubrey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Did you hear my question?
Yeah, there you go. Yes. So sorry, I missed your question. Good evening to you. Good evening to the listeners. Maybe just, if you don't mind repeating the question again.
So I asked the question, what made you choose the subject of faith? And I suppose the reason why I'm asking that is because the subject of faith has so many dimensions. It has this, the religious dimension to it. It has a spiritual dimension to it. It has a legal dimension to it sometimes. It's always a very, very interesting conversation, the conversation about faith. And you are asking questions about whether people have lost it and how they can regain it. Why? Why have you asked this question?
Yeah, so I think it's exactly for all of the reasons you said there, Aubrey, is that faith plays a major role in so many parts of our lives, right? We have faith is one of the four. If you remember, we spoke last year a lot about our four cups. Faith is one of the main cups that we don't often pay enough attention to, and we don't always understand the power of faith. I guess we also don't understand the power of the opposite of faith, which is doubt. And I think that it's so important to understand it in the context of where we find ourselves. I think personally, for many people financially struggling to find a job, for a lot of our youth, for a lot of people in this country, but not only in this country, for a lot of people worldwide, I think there's a crisis in faith at the moment. And you're right, there's different types of faith. And tonight we're not specifically talking about the religious faith, the faith in that's a topic for another conversation. We're talking about the faith that you have in yourself, the faith and the belief that you have. You know, we'll talk about belief, which we'll get to a little bit later on, which is a deeper version as we describe in Changecreatorsa. Faith, but faith is something we can all understand. And we're talking tonight about the faith that you have in yourself. Because at one stage in our lives, we all had faith in ourselves. We all believed in ourselves. We all believed, even if it was just when we were little children, we believed anything is possible. We believed we were going to take over the world.
Yeah.
And what happened to that faith? What happened to that belief? Do you get up every morning and have faith in your future? Or do you get up every day and have fear and doubt in your future? Because the way you wake up is going to determine what you're going to do through the day. What you do through the day is going to determine what results you're going to get. And it really starts by that mindset, that deep down mindset, that faith, that belief. And I'm arguing that many people who are feeling down, despondent at the moment, have lost their faith. And tonight we're going to talk about what are the two main things in the context of what we're talking about here that create faith, but also take the faith away from you. So what I'm going to do tonight again is invite any of our listeners that are feeling that way, that are feeling that loss of faith, that are feeling that doubt, that fear, that I just don't know what to do anymore. Call in. You're going to get a free coaching session, and maybe I can engage with one or two of them. And let's talk this through, and hopefully we can make this really practical, that it's not just, as me and you always say, that it's not just theory, but that tonight becomes something practical that people can start doing to rebuild their faith if they feel they've lost their faith again.
Give us a call. Do you feel like you've lost your faith? Do you feel like you are perhaps swimming in a sea of doubt about various aspects of your life, whether it is your work, whether it is your relationships, whether it is your finances? The question is, how do you regain that faith? How do you define that faith? How do you speak of that faith as it pertains to those issues of substance in your life? Give us a call, 011-883-0702. Stanley Beckett is my guest, author and consultant at Changecreatorsa. Give us a call. But define for me, Stanley, what faith is from the perspective or the context that you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think the most common definition of faith for most people is the one we get when it comes to religious terms. The substance of things not seen, the evidence of things hoped for. It's something. Faith is that spiritual cup, that belief in what you are doing. Faith in the context of what we're talking tonight is the belief in yourself, the belief that things are going to change, the belief that there's a success story out there for you if you're not experiencing it. So let's take, for example, the difference between that person getting up every day looking for a job. One person has faith. They believe that what I'm doing is going to bring fruit. They believe in their actions. Why? Because their faith extends beyond just that CV they're sending out. Their faith extends to the belief that there is job opportunities out there. They have faith in themselves. They have the faith in saying, if I can get an appointment and somebody can speak to me, I know I can go and do the job that's expected of me. Right? That's a person who's leading from faith. A person who's leading from doubt or fear then sees it the other way around. I don't think there's any work out there anyway, so why bother sending out my CV? Why bother trying? I don't think companies are looking for someone like me anyway, so why bother? And even if I get the job, I don't know if I can actually do the job. You see, there's two totally different mindsets. And those two mindsets that you wake up with every morning is going to be the determining factor of how you're going to act in the day. I'm sure you can understand right away off the bat that the person who has the first mindset of faith, they're going to get up, they're going to send their CV out, they're going to go knock on doors, they are going to talk to people, friends, and ask them if they know of any opportunities, because they believe that breakthrough they're looking for is just around the corner. So they're going to take massive action and they're going to prove themselves right, because the action they're taking eventually has to lead to something. The person who has the doubt, who has the fear, is going to be the total opposite. They're going to be sitting thinking, what's the point of sending out my CV? So they're not going to send it out. They're going to be thinking, what's the point of looking in the wanted ads? There's nothing available anyway, so they're not going to read it. They're going to be thinking, what use am I? So they're not even going to talk to their friends and family and people who could potentially open a door for them. But there really is a big difference in the way we approach life when we come from a space of faith and when we come from a space of doubt. And tonight's faith that I'm talking about, and I just want to put that in the context again, is the specific faith I'm talking about tonight is, do you have faith in yourself? Do you have faith in your ability to get things done? Because another thing about faith is we pick it up in somebody, Aubrey. When you're talking to someone and they really believe in what they're saying, you can feel it. It's an energy. It's something you know. It's something you can feel. That's why we talk about second-hand car salesmen. You get other people who talk a good talk, but deep down they do not believe what they're saying, and you can feel that as well. And I believe when we are talking to people and when you talk to somebody and you have that faith that you're the best employee for that company, you have faith that you are the person who can do the job. I'm telling you, a person that interviews you feels it. It's something really strong.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is, how do we build that kind of faith where you totally believe in yourself? And what is it that's taken that faith away from you? If we can understand what's taken it away, we can understand how to build it again.
So give me a call. If you feel like you've lost your edge, your audacity to believe good things for yourself, regardless of the circumstances that you might find yourself in. This is a great time for us to have this conversation. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. Because I think it does take a certain audacity, particularly when there are very, very difficult circumstances around you that may challenge the very idea of faith, especially when there are circumstances that speak against the thing that you hope for or believe for yourself. I reckon you need a very, very hairy faith, a very, very obstinate faith, a very, very determined faith under those particular conditions. Stanley?
Yes, absolutely, Aubrey, and that's. I mean, let's lead into the two things that either build your faith or break your faith by starting from what you've just asked. Is if you find yourself in an environment where all of the evidence is the contrary to what you want to believe, it's very difficult to build faith.
Yeah.
Right. That's why all of the great writers from Napoleon Hill with Think and Grow Rich, from James Allen with As a Man Thinketh, from Wallace Wattles with The Science of Getting Rich, they all say the same thing. They say thinking is the hardest thing to do. That's why so few people do it. And remember, I think I said to you once, Bob Proctor had spoken to somebody who had studied over 11 years the art of thinking, and he said, give me one statement I can give to my audience about thinking. And he said 95% of people think that they think, or what? No, sorry, 2%, something like 95% of people. And I remember such a long time since I said this. 2% of people in the world think. 3% of the people in the world think that they think, and the other 95% would rather die than have to think. And what it meant by that is that the people, when we're not thinking, we're thinking from the outside in. So in other words, we are allowing our circumstances to dictate our experiences, our reality, and our thinking. He says the 2% of people who are really successful in this world, really, really successful, are the people who don't allow the outside, they think from the inside out. In other words, they don't allow the reality of their situation to dictate their thinking. They allow the reality of their vision to dictate their thinking. And that's very difficult to do when your outside reality is one of poverty, or is one of struggle, is one of I don't know how to pay the rent. It's very difficult in that time to be able to sit and think about opulence and think about success. And I get that. I understand that, and I want to make it clear. I get that, Aubrey. But unfortunately, that is what has to happen. That's the first thing. In order to build faith, and this I actually did with the Monday night group this week that we always do. We spoke about it from Think and Grow Rich. Faith is built through a concept called autosuggestion. So this is the first thing, and then later on we'll speak about the second thing that builds or breaks faith.
Yeah.
Autosuggestion are the things we tell ourselves over and over and over again. And unfortunately, most of the things we tell ourselves over and over again are unconscious. So we are sitting all day long, and James Allen in As a Man Thinketh says, you become what you think about most of the time.
Yeah.
What are we thinking about most of the time? We think about 50, 60,000 thoughts. You can change us from, if you hear from study to study per day. 90% plus of those thoughts we're not even aware of. They are happening in an automatic way in the background. So now we look at our outside reality, and what are we saying to ourselves all the time? We keep saying to ourselves, look at my circumstances, look up where I am, look how I can't make any money. I'm no good if I can't make money. I have no value. I can't do this thing called life. Whatever it might be, we're telling ourselves. And we're telling ourselves this in the back of our mind over and over and over again. And we've told ourselves it so much that we've now started building faith, but faith in the wrong things. We've now got faith in the fact that we can't do this. We've now got faith in the fact that we're never going to change our circumstances. So the first thing we need to do is the hardest thing to do. And that is to remove yourself from those circumstances in your mind. And in your mind, you've got to start creating a new suggestion. You've got to start creating a new thing that you're telling yourself. You've got to start telling yourself that you are valuable. Even if you don't believe it at first, you're not going to believe it at first, right? But you've got to start overriding that predominant thinking that's going on in the background.
Yeah.
You've got to get clear on what it is that you're telling yourself that is not producing the result you want, so that you can start focusing on how do I at least start on telling myself the opposite of that. Now, this all sounds airy-fairy, and I get all of that, and I want everybody to know I get that, right? But the science is now starting to back this up. Science is starting to back in the quantum level that what we think about, we create. So if we keep thinking negative thoughts, we are creating that experience, whether we are physically creating it, attracting it, I don't know. I'm still on the fence on that. But I want to say what we are creating is our reality through our thinking, becomes our feelings, becomes our actions, becomes our results. It starts by our beliefs. If our belief and our faith is that we are not going to succeed, our thinking is going to follow suit, our feelings, our actions and results. That's what I talk about attraction. We are attracting the results starting by our faith. And I'm suggesting we can change that around by starting to become aware of these negative things we are thinking all the time and starting to auto-suggest in our mind. This is something Napoleon Hill has said more than 100 years ago, studying the most successful people. He said he's yet to find one person that this didn't work on. is if we're just willing to do the work, to sit down and change what we're saying to ourselves in our mind, then that is the first step towards developing faith. And I'm saying in the past, we've said so many negative things that we have actually broken down our faith. But maybe tonight's conversation can make that one or two person listening to this say, maybe it's time for me to start on the one thing I can control. And that is what I'm putting into my subconscious mind through my continuous thinking.
Yeah. Give us a call. Rubbish in, rubbish out, says Stanley Beckett. Hey? Is that what you're saying, Stanley? That whatever it is that we put in.
Is there.
Eh?
Yeah. I said the evidence is there for rubbish in, rubbish out, yes.
Absolutely. So depending on what it is that we entertain. I mean, I remember the saying, it's usually attributed to the Native Americans, that in our minds, two wolves are in a battle. The two wolves in the battle of our minds, the other one for the good and the other one for the bad. And the one that you feed the most is the one that wins. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that, and it's so hard to do. I get it because I've been there, Aubrey. And I think sometimes life has made me go through those hardest things so that I can authentically tell every listener, whatever, when it comes to financial and struggle and all of those things you've been through, I've been there. So I get it. I get how difficult it is in that situation. But I also get that my situation only started changing when I started changing this first part and then the second part. And that is why I'm so passionate about sharing it with our listeners. But absolutely, whichever of the two wolves you feed is the one that's going to win at the end of the day, Aubrey.
Give us a call. 011-883-0702. Have you lost your faith? Is the question that Stanley Beckett asks this evening. What is it that you entertain in terms of the discussions you have, the ideas you spend time on that may be responsible for the way that you see life? And have you lost that audacity, that ability to believe beyond the appearance of your circumstances? Have you lost the ability to defy what your circumstances might be saying to you? Because my sense is that that's how realities are created. It's that which we entertain in our minds, that which we feel strongly about, those actions that we take on the basis of that feeling, that creates our realities. I'm interested to take your calls. Have you lost your faith? What do you understand faith to be in the context that we are talking about for you? Give us a call. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to take some calls. Tembinkosi is in Annandale. Good evening to you, Tembinkosi.
Yes, Mr. Aubrey, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Tembinkosi. What's on your mind?
Mr. Aubrey, what's on my mind is that it's not like I've lost faith. It's just that I don't know what I can call it. But when you were holding up on faith, but at a certain point you feel like things are not happening the way maybe you expect them to be, and there's no even a sort of a green light sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we are getting me.
No, I get you. I think, and if you don't mind me paraphrasing,
I can just give you maybe a bit of my story.
Sure.
Mr. Aubrey, I was born 1979, and then it happened that I was raised by my stepfather and my mother.
Yes.
But I was raised from different families when I grew up. I stayed from different aunties and so on. Then
so you moved around a lot as a child, staying with different families?
Yes.
Right.
So since I was born, I never stayed 5 years with my mother.
Yes.
Then it happened that when I was in 15 years, I was working at the Beefmaster there at Northwest. When you go to Kimberley, there's a sort of hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes, there's a sort of what you call a cow factory there. I was working there at 1994, at that 15 years.
Yeah.
Then it happened that when we were sleeping in the compound, which it was cold that time, when we were sleeping, some old guy who was supposed to be my uncle at us attempted to sort of sodomize us.
Oh, yeah.
Then, eventually, I lost that job, and then I went home. When I told my parents what happened, it was like I was the one who was wrong.
Yeah.
Then it happened that in 1995, we went from Taung, went to Plymouth. Then one day I found my stepmother and my mother were fighting.
Yes.
Then I said, Mother, there's no peace. Whatever I do, there's nothing like is sensible. I'm going to my uncle at Stelfontein. Then my mother said to me, at that age, I was 16 years.
What did your mother say? Sorry, Timmy goes.
He said to me, the grave of a young man is next to the road.
Right, yeah. In other words, it means that as a young man, you are sort of doomed to the struggle of life, right?
Yeah, so what should I do with my life?
Yeah.
Then I went to my uncle. When I went to my uncle, it happened that I got a choose job at the mine. The mine, which there was a sort of people when they illegally, you remember?
Yeah.
I was there at that age. It was 1996 or 1996 years. I was there to look for a job. Then some old man from a Tonga tribe, he tried to do the same thing that which happened when I was there.
Yes.
Remember, there will be those things I grew up.
Because we're beginning to lose you again. We're losing you.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Then it happened that we went there. I went there for interview, because he was the one who promised me to give me a job. Then I was there. Then I saw those actions again. This guy, he wanted to sodomize me. Then I ran and then I asked for my ID.
Mm.
Okay. To cut the story short, I went to Joburg alone with my cousin.
Yes.
1997.
Yes.
When we came here, we came for looking for a job. Then my cousin was very naughty. He was having guns, all those things. Then I ended up having a gun also.
Mm.
And then we went to rob some Indian shop.
Mm.
And then I got arrested.
Mm.
I went to prison at the age 1998. I was 19 years old.
Sorry, we're losing you again, Tembigosi. When you were 19 years old, after the robbery that you had committed, you went to prison, yeah?
Yes, 1998 I got arrested.
Yep.
I was 19 years old.
Yep.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, then I was sentenced 1999, which I was doing the 31st of May.
Yes.
Then I went to prison. I served my sentence from 1999 until 2010.
Yes.
Remember, Aubrey, since I went to prison, the only thing that I was, actually for the first time in my life, I experienced the sort of love that my father used to come to visit me at prison. Then until I came out. When I came out, I stayed with them. But my own sympathies, they didn't want me. From home, okay, sharp. It happened that I thought,
I'm losing you again, Tembigosi. I'm losing you again.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, just move around a little bit. Just move around so that we can hear your full story.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay. It happened that when I got out of prison, then I bought my shirts for myself, and then I went to stay to my younger brother, and okay, things didn't go well, and then I came to work.
Oof. And your line is really bad, Tembigosi, and we really want to hear your story, you know?
You still don't hear me now, please?
I hear you. It's just that you keep breaking up, and then there's a a break in the connection. Okay, but then you got your own shack, and you tell me more about your younger brothers.
My brother, my younger brother is mentally disturbed.
Yes.
Then I went to stay with him. Then he chased me away.
Yes.
And then I went to stay to my brother-in-law, which he passed last December.
Yes.
It was good. Sorry. And then until I got my first born on the 9th of September 2014. But it happened that we broke up, and then I went to Joburg, Changecreatorsa as we stayed, as I'm here now. Actually, for the first time, I stayed with my second baby mama child. Then we stayed together. Everything was good. Then I was like, when you know your struggle,
yes,
the life struggle.
Yes.
You can foresee things before they can happen.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Then it happened that my second baby mama, she was married, and I didn't know that. And then she got 2 kids. I only got to know about the one kid. Then when times go on after the baby was born, and then eventually we broke up. Then it happened that I got sick where I was staying. Nobody could go and visit me. Nobody could care actually what I said. I had a parasitic problem which it maintained by eating healthy food, not just any food.
Yes.
Then my first born baby mama came to visit me. Well, as I was there staying alone, that's when actually I thought I knew God, but that's when actually I found God. Who is God actually?
Yes.
Then I was fasting. There was a time whereby I don't know anyone. I didn't know anyone there. I was alone, and 70 kilos from where my parents were staying. Nobody came to see where I'm staying. Nobody actually contacted me. Then my baby mama came to visit me. Then we sort of reunited our relationship again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so because of I was stranded. Even before she came to me, I sat down and I spoke to God. God showed me the right way. Showed me what to do, because I was raised without a father. I got 2 kids that I don't know how to raise them, and I'm in this situation. Right now, to cut the story short, talking about the issue of losing faith.
Yes.
At some point, in those situations like this, we do lose faith.
Yes.
Because people, those who raise us, those people that we grew up and believing in, which were our role models.
Yes.
The people that we raised them.
Yeah.
Like, take for instance, I'm the uncle of my sister's kids. My sister, she's a professional teacher, where she's working for government. She wrote about me in 2018 and telling people the world that I want to kill him. I don't know for what reason, and I am not this far from his father.
Yeah.
His blood, and she's not the one who told.
Tembingos, you know what, my brother? I have to stop you because we've got other callers, but I want to say this, and then I want to allow Stanley to comment.
Okay.
A conversation like what we are having now about the loss of faith and how to regain it. I really hope that it doesn't get to a place where it sounds to you like it is a judgment against you. So first of all, that you mustn't see a conversation about the loss of faith and how to regain it as a judgment to somebody who has lost faith.
Precisely, I hear you.
Because from time to time, for various reasons, we lose the faith to go on. We lose the faith to believe that there's a better day for us for many, many, many reasons. And I mean, the reasons that you've given us this evening are enough to make 1,000 people lose faith for 1,000 years. The very fact that you are still in the fight and you are still so positive that you're still participating means that actually you have not lost the faith. You are still in the fight. I want you also to understand that sometimes, and then I'm going to leave this conversation. I'm just feeling very compelled to say what I'm about to say to you. And Stanley said something about it, that sometimes we are allowed to go through certain things. Yeah? In order for us to be the best teachers of those who are going through what we've gone through, because we know what we're talking about. Does that make any sense?
Definitely.
So what I'm trying to say is that the hardships, the painful hardships that you've just described of your life, there are two ways of looking at them. One is a way that says, I am doomed to failure and to negativity in my life. And you could be true. It could be true. Or the other way of looking at the circumstances and the difficulties that you've gone through is that I have been allowed to go through these things because in me is a powerful, resilient, gritty faith that is going to be the teacher that regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what I go through, I will be able to rise out of the problems that I'm facing. And my sense is that you are a representative of the latter reason why you've gone through these things. I think that you have been given the gift, the gift of the hardships that you have gone through in order for us to be taught by your experience that it is possible to rise out of these circumstances. I'm going to stop there because that's just my feeling about the story that I'm hearing. And then I'm going to let Stanley speak. I don't know whether, Stanley, you would like for me to keep Thembinkosi on the line. But your thoughts. I allowed Thembinkosi to tell his story because I think it is so important and so indicative of the reality of the circumstances that can make us lose our faith. Stan?
Yeah, Aubrey, I think you handled that very well. I don't think there's too much more at this stage for me to add, other than just to say, and please take this in the context that is going through. We all go through stuff, Aubrey. Everybody goes through stuff. We've all got a story. We could bring every single person on, and every single person has got a hard story in life.
Yeah.
And that story is either going to build your faith or it's going to really break your faith down. And it sounds to me like you were saying to him that he's been one of the fortunate, blessed ones that his faith is still there. The faith in life, faith in himself is still there. And that's the important part. It's not what happens to us in life that matters. It's how we respond to what happens to us in life, what happens. And it's this auto-suggestion part of it is when negative things happen, we can keep telling ourselves and we can keep reminding ourselves of the negative things, and we can keep telling ourselves that it's our fault that thing happened to me, it's my fault that, or we can forgive ourselves, or we can, there's just so many ways we can go about it, but it's really coming down to that point that it's not what happens to us that builds or breaks our faith. It's what we tell ourselves about what happens to us that builds or breaks our faith. And I think this was just a nice example of that.
Thank you so much, Thembinkosi, for your story, and indeed a very, very, very compelling story. Let's take a call from Stephen in Pretoria. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, good evening, Aubrey.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Yes, I just wanted to ask Stanley, because I'm one person that is actually believes in actually helping other people. So I have realized that is what we call altruism. Altruism, I'm sure you understand what I mean. I'm always taking to the extreme altruism. I'll give you an example of that. Sometimes when I see people that is in need for help,
yes,
in any way or shape, I don't feel comfortable to leave that person without actually helping. And the only thing that helps me is when I think, because we are talking about the thinking and the faith, I ask myself a question: what is going to happen to this person if I don't help him? But if I ask what's going to happen to me if I help that person, then that means now I have already been defeated. I am afraid to help this person because I'm thinking more of me than that person that I have picked up. That person needs help. And I am at the right time. I am maybe the one that has got to help him to get out of the trouble that he's actually facing. Is that the extreme altruism, or do I expect them to moving from dangerous altruism or to extreme altruism? So how can I actually? I'm just trying to figure out is that how? Because if I don't do that, if I leave that person, I go home without helping that individual that I've picked up, I don't feel fulfilled. I feel guilt that I have actually ignored or I've been disobedient to help somebody that's that needs help, and I the only one that can actually help that person. That's what I believe, that if I help somebody, then I don't have got to think of myself first. I need to help that person and ask the question that what's going to happen to him, rather than asking the question what's going to happen to me if I help him or her.
And I mean, I wish we had more people like you, Stephen. But what then is your question?
But my question is that now, how do I actually ignore it? I mean, sometimes I come across people that are, let me just give an example. Most recently, there was a girl that the young boys actually grabbed his phone and ran away. And I ran after those boys, and then until I actually caught another one, and some other people come and help me. So I was thinking about this girl's trauma that she needs to face about this thing, and losing her phone, rather than actually saying that what could have happened to me if those people killed me. So my question is that now, is it a good thing, or am I actually stretching myself further more than that, or is it my gifting to help other people rather than actually thinking of myself? Well, I'm selflessness. That's what I'm actually saying.
All right. Stan?
Yeah.
Hi, Aubrey. Once again, I'm really struggling to understand the question. It's difficult for me to answer the question if I don't actually understand exactly what the question is. And I'm also trying to link it to our conversation on faith. I'm not quite making the connection there. So if you can maybe, because you're good at putting this together, maybe just tell me exactly what the question is.
Let's see if I can paraphrase, Stephen, and then you can help me as I paraphrase and try to understand. You are the kind of person, if I understand you, that feels compelled to help other people.
Yes.
And you are concerned that sometimes you go overboard.
Yes.
And you want to know at which point should you be a little more circumspect about this feeling of wanting to help people, because either it can get dangerous for you or the person, or for you and your family, because sometimes you overextend yourself. And you want to know how to...
The boundary.
Yeah, how to read the boundaries of that altruism, of that humaneness. And you are basically wondering if it is possible to go overboard, if I'm understanding you correctly, Steve. All right, Stanley?
Sorry, Aubrey. I find it difficult when I'm like my mind's so on one topic and it feels like a completely different topic. I'll try and answer. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm really trying to focus on the faith thing tonight, and I don't feel this is in that same topic.
Yeah.
But I guess all I would say to him is trust your feelings. I mean, I don't really know. It's so difficult without a scenario or without an example. I would just say just trust your instinct, and you know, if it feels dangerous or I cannot. I mean, I also try and help as many people as I can. But there comes a point when I realize I can't. I'm not the right person, and all I'm going to do is actually make it even more difficult for myself and those that I love, and that if I give too much. I think I don't know how to answer it other than
So let me take a quick step.
Other than just
Let me take a quick
really
stab,
with it.
quick stab at it, Stephen. And I guess I get the sense of why you are asking that question within the context of faith. I think you understand your altruism and your desire to help people as an expression of your faith.
Yes. And once I help somebody else that I have identified that doesn't need, I feel fulfilled. I feel so happy
I get you.
I have done something that was in my heart.
So the way that this connects to the conversation of faith is that you, Stephen, understand your generosity of spirit, your need and desire to give and to be selfless as an expression of that faith. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you have found yourself in situations where that expression of faith may have felt like it has gone a little bit further than what it should have done.
Mm-hmm.
And you are wondering whether there is a way of being able to understand for yourself when and how far you can go with the expression of that faith. Is that correct?
So correct. That's
all right. Now, I think here is a rule of thumb that I would use if I were you.
Okay.
If you are in a situation, so I'm gonna explain it like this. If you are in a hole, until you are outside of that hole, it is better to be trying to get out of that hole and then pull people out of the hole when you are outside of the hole. But if you are going to spend too much time pushing people outside of the hole while you are still in the hole, then it becomes problematic. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it is important for you to understand that you will be a useless soldier of your faith if you yourself are an injured soldier. You must be a healthy soldier, a strong soldier, in order for you to be able to continue to assist other people. So when a situation is such that it may put you in danger, such that you yourself become a dead or an injured soldier, then it is not the scenario in which you must be helping. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't know what. Let me just say that now. The reason why I'm saying that I am actually at a point where I always want to help him, my belief, which is my faith, is that God is with me. And then the way I'm thinking, I don't think that it is actually me who's thinking that.
Then Stephen, then there's your answer, my brother. If you believe that God is with you in whatever you do, who are we to say anything different? Stephen in Pretoria, thank you very much for your call. Stanley,
that was interesting. I was just going to say that was interesting, but I think this is why sometimes maybe it's a good idea to find a different word, because I think people get maybe a little bit confused about the type of faith we're talking about. Yeah. The faith we're talking tonight, and what I really wanted to focus on, is the faith that you have in yourself to be able to get things done. Where did you lose that faith along the line?
Yeah.
Where did your faith in your ability to do things and to live life become doubt? And I think maybe that's where we went a little bit off. We're not talking about
religious
other types of faith, so maybe we should just find a different word for it.
Yeah, I think we need to.
That's really what
I think it is true that we need to find a different word to zoom in a little bit more on the faculty that we actually wanting to talk to. But let me quickly, as we come to an end, read you this message. Temba in Gwamhlanga says, "Good evening, Mr. Masango. Honestly, I have lost faith. The state of unemployment in this country saddens me. I graduated last year and have sent more than 1,000 applications in over a year. I only received about 4 virtual interviews. I applied for learnerships, apprenticeships, internships, entry-level and general jobs. Things don't work out. I even tailored my CV to be ATS compliant, and I always use keywords. I thoroughly prepare for interviews, still nothing. I've just turned 32 and have 2 or 3 years before 35. I'm anxious because most opportunities are for people below 35. I don't know what to do anymore. And that is from Gwamhlanga, Temba in Gwamhlanga. Your word in 30 seconds for Temba, Stanley.
Yeah, in 30 seconds, just listen to all that negative auto-suggestion. This isn't for me. The jobs are only for people under 35. Nothing I do works. You know, maybe he's not meant to be an employee. Maybe he's meant to do. Remember, I was said once, stop looking for a job and start looking for an income. And if he wants to contact me, we can talk about this further. I get how down he is, but he's got to change that program, that talking he's saying in his head, or else the outside reality is not going to change, and he's really got to work on that. If he can work on that, he'll start seeing the opportunities that are out there again, Aubrey.
Temba, I hope you get in touch with Stanley, and this is how you get in touch with Stanley. Stanley, give us your contact details.
Yeah, anyone wanting to get me can either email me directly, Stanley@changecreatorsa.com, changecreatorsa.com. Or you can go look for our website, changecreatorsa.com. Online, and at the bottom, you'll find a place where you can leave a message and you can get a free copy of my book, Liftoff. Or you can just look on LinkedIn if you're there, look for Stanley Beckett and connect with me there, Aubrey.
Stanley Beckett, thank you very much for joining us. Speak to you next week. Let's take a break. When we come back, Eyewitness News.